thought I saw something.
Did I lose you guys again? What?
Someone.
What's going on? What are you guys looking at? Abaddon eyes. That's what we call it. Everybody feels like they saw something out of the corner of their eyes or just felt like they were being watched. Happens to all of us. Just our imagination's messing with us.
Abaddon eyes.
You coming?
We are here with Casey, my buddy Casey, that we've known each other for a million years.
Yep.
Caitlin, Josh from BooBaes, who will be executive producers on this project, whether they like it or not. So the idea here is to, so the Hell House movies, Hell House LLC movies, there's now 4, right? These movies are found footage movies that I think are done really well. Casey, I think, has seen them 1,004 times.
I just can't quit watching.
Yeah. And I know, Caitlin, you've seen up through 3.
Yes.
Right. And Josh, what have you seen?
I just did a crash course all through 4.
Okay.
Past couple
You
days.
did go through 4.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you think 4 was the best one?
4.
On it, close.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
actually pretty good.
It was really good. Yeah. I thought it was really good.
The first one is still like, to me, like just like really solid.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Cool.
But I do enjoy the trilogy, like the 1, 2, 3, like just like overall is like a
So the idea of this came out of Casey and I talking about just the world that Stephen Cognetti is building.
Yeah.
He's got 4 movies with the possible 5th. And it just keeps building on this world, right? And so the idea was to start a podcast or a new show that dealt primarily with this world that's being built.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would love to listen to, right? Because it's a deep dive kind of thing on all things Hell House. And it's not just, hey, let's review the movie and move on.
Yeah.
You know, it's an ongoing thing. I'm hoping to talk to actors and crew and, you know, again, my goal tonight is to get Stephen Cognetti to say, yeah, you got it. Let's do it.
That's awesome. Hopefully.
That's my goal. Yeah, we'll see what actually happens.
Is this like we're just like pitching it right now? Or
That's it. You got it.
You got
it. I gave him a little bit of a heads up whenever I contacted his PR people.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, they responded real quick.
Yeah.
So, hey, what do you know? Who knows?
Overall, though, he's just expecting this just to be like, it's an interview over the film.
I think it's just a regular interview.
Yeah,
he's
okay,
thinking,
got it.
Yeah. But hey, whatever. I think it's gonna be fun. Casey and I met the other night, and by the way, tomorrow's his birthday. Happy birthday, Casey.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
And we talked about how the fact is, it doesn't matter how old you are at this point, just keep them coming.
That's right. You just got to keep them coming, otherwise you're dead.
That's true.
And so
otherwise you'll wake up at the Abaddon Hotel.
That's right. We just talked about, the world and all the characters and all the stuff, and I think we've got some unanswered questions that hopefully throughout this podcast you could answer or get close to, or at least get other people's perspective on it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the idea. My ideas don't always pan out, but we'll see what happens.
Well, and we had talked about if you get enough traction to where you could do call-in stuff.
Yeah.
For
that'd be super cool.
Other people.
Yeah.
To help pull on those threads.
Yeah.
Because we see it even I'll see something, you'll see it differently.
Yes.
And then we have to, figure out what is the better of the two thoughts on the whole thing.
I think if this show goes like I think it is, Reddit's wet dream, because they can just rip it apart, right? And then they can also tell us what their theories are. I mean, nobody likes to give you their theory more than somebody sitting behind a keyboard. So
yeah, especially on Reddit.
Like I talked about, there are wildly different thoughts on the movies as far as, what should have been in 4 and what wasn't, and what different characters meant and how they interacted. So it would be a very good base to start off with if we could get, that kind of interaction with a community.
Well, like you said, so many different minds. There's all these ways to interpret it. So it's really exciting, especially because like you said, he is creating such a layered world where you can like focus on certain characters in the film and then deep dive like on the clowns and like more on the cult, or on the interviews and all that stuff, on a lot of different aspects.
I really want to dive deep on that cult thing because I don't think there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, the most information you get about the cults at the end of the second film with Andrew Tully coming back.
Yeah.
Kind of more in his full-fledged. And then you get touches of it at the end of the third as well. And
in 4, you get some new information. But you don't know
Can't
that
wait
it's
to watch it.
But you don't know that it's necessarily tied 100% to a cult. It's just information about how it could have been a thing.
Well, and they may just be using the term cult as a blanket.
Sure. That's true.
It's interesting to me to think about, and we got to do spoiler free here because you haven't seen it.
Oh, that's okay. You can spoil it.
Well, I'm not. There's just one point where
I plan to watch it tonight.
You find out you find out Tully's original background.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it is 180 degrees from the person we know now. And what happens to cause somebody to go that way? If you've seen 4, right?
No, haven't seen 4.
Okay.
I've seen 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, because it's the same thing that happens in there. It's with Patrick.
That's true.
He goes all in on this thing for these kind of promises.
Yeah,
and
it's more so too. Like especially when you're dealing with cults, it's usually always the people who have something that's going on, and so they're intrigued because there's the promise of like, well, I'll get something back out of it because you're willing to like lose yourself.
All right, Stephen, we got you. All right, fantastic. Yeah, now we have there's 4 of us. My name is Mike. My buddy Casey is here. And then I've got the 2 hosts from a podcast called BooBaes. They are a horror movie review podcast. So, number one, we appreciate you taking the time. And I was...
Yeah, and thanks also for, I know we had to switch nights and everything. I appreciate you guys being
Not
flexible.
a big deal. We work 24 hours a day, so no big deal. So I don't know if they filled you in on why I originally reached out, but
no, I did not get that.
Okay, yeah, not a big deal. So I'm going to give you my idea here, and then you give me a true reaction. Let me know what you think about this. So we are a podcast network. We have 150 plus shows on the network. We've got true crime, we've got horror, we've got, anything and everything, right? I want to start because Casey and I have been so engulfed in your movies and just biting at we thought it came out on the 24th of October. We were sadly disappointed, had to wait another 6 days.
Yeah.
So, but we really enjoy them, number one. And this is not to, butter you up or anything. I just think they're good movies. And I think you did with what you had the best you could possibly do. And they're just good movies, good, scary movies. So,
thanks for saying that.
What I would like to do is I want to start a show based on the world building that's taking place inside these movies. So a kind of a different concept here where we talk about the characters, we talk about the locations, we talk about theories of what could be going on or what went on with Tully and all the other characters. And basically this call is to get you to say yes to us making that sort of show. And I don't necessarily expect you to answer right this second, but I'd love to interview you in a normal way and then ask you at the end of this and see if you're comfortable with us exchanging some information and moving forward on this project.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Fantastic. So I'm going to introduce you to...
And also just time restraints. Anyways, I do have to go at what is 7 p.m. my time.
Yeah,
you guys
it'd be 6 o'clock. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock. Yeah, but anyways, please go ahead.
So I'm going to introduce you to Caitlin. Caitlin is one of the hosts from the podcast BooBaes, and thought that she could ask the first question.
Oh, okay.
Now, I will warn you, Stephen, that she's only seen 1 through 3.
It's true.
Oh, you haven't seen the fourth one yet?
No.
Okay, because actually the fourth one is like so true crime-esque in like how it's how it's presented. It's more like it's really like a doc. What I want to do is like make it like a doc that you would see on like a Netflix like true crime doc, like almost like a Murdoch documentary, but with ghosts, obviously, and not a crazy
Absolutely,
dude. But
absolutely.
But anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And before she asks, I'm sorry, I got a big mouth, but I was telling her earlier that basically the fourth one is 2 movies in one, and I thought you did a pretty good job of putting the other movie inside the movie. So I really enjoyed that part.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's see. Found footage is probably one of my personal favorite genres of horror in general. And we talk about that a lot on our podcast. And I was just kind of wondering why you chose to go the found footage route, if it was simply due to finances, or if you really also enjoy the found footage and you've always wanted to do a found footage film, or what?
I do enjoy found footage, and before I wrote Hell House, I had already been watching found footage. So Lake Mungo, I'd seen well before I filmed Hell House, and that was kind of an inspiration for me to say the fake doc style horror can be fun. Yeah. But I did write the first draft of the Hell House was the narrative, critical narrative, and not a found footage. So it's a little bit of mix of both. It was a little bit budgetary, but mostly I also thought that it was just a better way of telling the story, going at it at the found doc style. So I put the two together. I think I can make the budget stretch longer if I went this way, and B, I just think it's a better way of telling the story.
Yeah, and I think you absolutely nailed it with how you did the whole docu-series and style throughout the entire film series.
That's got to be one of the toughest things, right? Is coming up with a reason why there's a camera around all the time.
Yeah.
It is. It really is, especially in the sequels. And that's my whole thing about, I love making the found footage movies, but I cannot wait to get into just the traditional narrative style filmmaking where I don't have to justify why the camera's there anymore. I can just have my coverage. I don't have to justify all the coverage of a scene. I can just have my cameras wherever I want them. No one will question why we're seeing it from this angle.
I'm going to ask a really off the wall question real quick, because we were talking about other movies. You ever seen Incident at Loch Ness with Werner Herzog?
I have not, no.
So if I have not seen Lake Mungo, so I need to go watch that. I would ask that you watch Incident at Loch Ness. It's one of the stupidest. It's one of the stupidest things you'll ever see. But it's basically a found footage movie by Werner Herzog, and he fakes the Loch Ness incident. Anyway, it's fantastic. So I just was wondering if you ever pulled from anything that's not found footage horror.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just asking, this is not really a horror found footage, but it is a found footage type movie. Mm-hmm. And so I was wondering if you ever pulled from anything other than kind of horror or found footage, genres.
For sure. I think so. My biggest influence horror-wise is probably the movie Exorcist. Right. So that's in the horror world, and that's where. But in terms of when I was writing story and fleshing out the whole series, I got to be honest, something that's not horror related at all, but something that was a huge influence on me because I was obsessed with it in the early 2000s was the show Lost.
Oh, yeah.
And what I loved about Lost is that when you watch it, you look for Easter eggs and you look for little things character says that had deeper meaning that you didn't know until you would when the episode was over, you would Google and try to find out why people are named certain ways and mythologies and see how they crept in subtly into things. Now, what I try to do in Hell House is do that obviously on a much smaller scale, obviously. But I did putting Easter eggs and plot lines that, they wouldn't make sense when you saw it, but would have payoffs later. and kind of cross timelines as well too. And I just always thought that it was like it's the type of story telling that I was just so engrossed in when Lost was out of the series. Like it just waiting for that next episode to come out to find out, like, you know, like, because I think they set up that mystery so fun. It was so interesting, and you wanted to dive in every week to see like where the mystery is going from there. So I did want to bring a little bit of mystery into from that, which is obviously like more thriller sci-fi, but bringing it like a small piece of like what they did there onto my very low budget horror film. How can I have the same thing, like build a mystery that people want to figure out, and will like look for little breadcrumbs and clues as they're watching to piece things together.
That's fantastic. One other thing I'm going to bring up before I let anybody speak, I'm sorry, but I read an article today that Mike Flanagan said to go watch your Hell House series. That's pretty. I mean, I told a friend, I'm like, I think I should probably just, you know, hang it up and quit, because it doesn't get better than that. Like it could only go downhill from there. You know, it's just getting that. I mean, because Hill House and Bly and now Usher, and I always like his features too. Going back to Oculus, like Oculus was amazing. I remember that being like one of my, I think it was like a Netflix DVD rental for me, and I was just like, holy shit, this movie's awesome.
I love Oculus.
And so like he's just like the best. He's the master, and so to get that was we were all.
That's really fantastic. Now you know the next thing is you'll get a hate tweet from Stephen King. But other than that, you know, those are the two.
But I've always told I love Stephen King. He's my favorite writer. It's the first horror novel I ever read. When I was like too young to read The Stand, I read The Stand, and it's still my favorite novel to this day. And so I always said, like I always joked, like I wonder if he's ever seen it. I wonder if he'll ever watch it and say something. Like you know, obviously that never happened. But then the next best thing happened, which is Mike Flanagan mentioning it. So and I know Flanagan and King both have a relationship, obviously, when they with Dr. Sleep and everything, which that novel was amazing, and Flanagan's adaptation of it was amazing too.
It's just an amazing compliment, you know, for a guy who I'm sure you're thinking I'm just making these little, you know, found footage cheap films or whatever.
Yeah.
And here we go. Yeah. Now we're here. So that's
exactly what I said. One of the actresses today, the lead in Origins, I was talking to just today, and I said the same thing. I said I'm just impressed. To me, I just love the fact that people on that level watch, you know, low budget indie horror as well, you know, and it means a lot. You know, I
figure it's kind of like listening to indie music or whatever, right? I mean, you're looking for that next big thing.
Right. Yeah, I guess like why not? Yeah. I mean, you know, give something a shot. You know, who knows like how it came about? Maybe he was bored one night. It was the rest of us.
It was a recommendation on Amazon. You know. That's what it was. Yeah. He was buying some shoes and just came across it.
That's how I but
that's how like most people came across it.
I was bored one night, and that's how I stumbled across the first Hell House LLC.
By the way, they've already reviewed your first movie. Yeah, they loved it. By the way, they reviewed it back in April 22.
Yeah. 2022. We reviewed.
They did a great job.
LLC, and it was great fun.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. But I was just going to say that, you know, what we just talked about with Flanagan and what you just did is exactly how most people have found Hell House. They were just like scrolling through Amazon one night, and it, you know, so it was never one of those things that was like overnight got a following, overnight got a lot of watches. It was gradual build for Hell House, where still, like, you know, years later in 22, someone comes across it and writes a review for it. So that was fun for Hell House, but it's a little different in Origins. Origins kind of got a big swell pretty quickly. But I think that's just because of our relationship with Shudder, and Shudder does a good job of getting movies out there and, you know, getting eyeballs on them.
I think that one of the things that Caitlin told me before this, we were talking about your movies and stuff, and she said, you know, the nice thing is, like, all three of the ones that she's seen, she said, and I think this is true for 4, you can watch them by themselves. You don't necessarily have to have watched 1 to watch 3. You know, you can dive into those things because there's a little bit of a recap that happens.
Yeah, I think the film does a great, especially in 3, I found that the film did a great job of recapping and giving like a brief synopsis, basically, to where I was like, I could have watched this completely standalone and not have watched any of the others. I mean, I'm glad I watched the others, but I was like, I could have definitely just watched 3 and been good.
No, yeah, the same for me as in watching all 3. I'm Josh from BooBaes, by the way. There's a nice like through line and thread throughout each one where you can always find yourself going back. Like you said, it's actually funny because you said that Lost is like one of your favorite shows and stuff, where I can see the inspiration in your work almost away because everything is so layered, and you come back and you're like, oh man, if I would have paid attention there, that's where that connects to that. So it's pretty fun to dive in.
Yeah. No, they're great movies. My buddy Casey. Now, I want to warn you real quick before he asks you a question. I took him out. Was it last night? Night before last for his birthday, which is on Thursday. And so happy birthday, Casey. But
thank you very much.
We were coming up with questions to ask you, right? Because we wanted to ask about the world and things like that. And I said, well, have you watched them again? He goes, oh yeah, I watch them every night. They're just in the background, just playing the whole time. And so before he asks a question, I just want you to know how creepy he is that he's got Hell House playing in the background the entire time.
Well,
that's so funny. So Hell House is that's my Arrested Development. That's what I put on the background. So that's
when I talk about and the Lost thing, it makes a lot of sense. Is I tell Mike, you and you were talking to everybody else about watching it once. You can't get it all in just one watching. The threads that are layered in there, and the way the people who do something in movie 1, how that in the background affected movie 1 or movie 4, and to know that when you talked about, maybe you've got ideas for future movies that. And I told Mike this, it's just kind of frustrating because that information's there, but it's not a book you can go pick up on the shelf right now. Yeah. We've got to wait for it. And it's interesting to pull those threads and look at those people and hear a name in one movie and you immediately know what they did in something else. And then you hear, we've got some people that haven't seen 4.
It's okay, go full spoiler.
Okay,
that's fine.
Okay. Like when you hear about Tully and what happened to his daughter, and that 180-degree swing from being a preacher to someone who is now willingly trying to open a portal to hell. What happened? What happened there before he got to the carnival to meet the other 2 guys? There was something that happened in his life that just totally threw it off track.
And I know we have zero influence. I know we have zero influence on you whatsoever, but we want that movie where we get to know what happened to Tully and we get to meet these 2 guys.
And is that picture?
Well, the thing is, I do have written the scene where Tully meets these 2 guys. I wrote that a long time ago. So I wrote, and it's a really cool scene. And he's on the run and he hides out in the carnival and he meets these 2 guys that are running a stand, and he gets in with them and they're meeting and how there's something very cool that happens when they first meet. And I wrote that back in I think 2020, 2021. And I wrote this whole backstory about I knew I couldn't make that prequel because it's just we can't do that. That's just such a big beast right now on our budget. But I tried to sprinkle in some of the breadcrumbs of what that whole story was into this 4th.
I don't know.
So you saw some of that.
I don't know. You would describe it as cool when 3 guys get together and decide to create a cult that eventually is going to try to open a portal to hell. But to each their own. To each their own.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. That's cool. What the kids do now.
So that leads me to one more question, and then I'm going to ask you my original question. So the question I have is about the song, right? And this kind of typifies all the other stuff. When that song is first played on the piano in number 1, was it already your idea to bring that back and back and back?
No, I wish I could. I thought that it would be very cool. I want to be honest that some things it evolved over time. Not everything was so pre-planned. One of the things was that was just a part of a scare. And I needed a Paul character to have a jingle that he could play because I wanted, after he disappears, I want to hear that jingle again in the house in the middle of the night. But the jingle, when we played it in post and it's just such a fun piano tune. I was like, oh, this is creepy. It's actually not just a gag. This could be more. And so that's why I wanted to bring it back into the sequels as well, and then flesh it out even further.
I love that you didn't necessarily plan it, but then after you started going down the line, you were like, oh yeah, now this could be a thing and this could be a thing. I'm assuming that's how the grandfather clock happens and things like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that grandfather clock, I found that grandfather clock. I bought it myself for the movie. And so like that item, like it was like personal to me, and it lives at the Abaddon Hotel right now. And so when we filmed, I had to go drive down, go pick it up, load it into my car, drive it back to where she put it, and put it into the antique store. And I personally just did that myself, like did all the heavy lifting on that. I'm like, I want that grandfather clock involved, something like a relic of the hotel that's outside the hotel and somewhere else right now.
I'm sure cool. That's what Mike Flanagan does too. He just loads up all his props and goes gets them and drives them to the next shoot.
Yeah. Someday, maybe someday I'll be able to have a PA do that. But right now, that's me.
Okay. So number one, I want to thank you for your time because we're coming up on 20 minutes. But I want to ask you my original question one more time. So the idea here is to start a show that's based on the Hell House world. Now, we don't necessarily want to color outside the lines or anything, but I would like for this to become a thing where Reddit people yell at us about it. And by that, I mean, tell us we're wrong about this and tell us your theory and your theory and your theory down the line. I would love to talk to some of the actors. I'd love to talk to crew. I'd love to talk to anybody that was part of this world and get their theories on what's going to happen next and what's going to happen next and maybe what happened in the past. And so that was my original question. We want to start this show. I have no idea what it's called. This is the initial salvo, though, is getting a call from you. And I'm sorry if it seems like an ambush, but it's really not. I just want your blessing to do it. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I guess I think the way you just explained it sounded better to me. When you first said it, I thought you were going to make up story on your own. Yeah. So and that's it. Of course. Like any kind of podcast this discussing the mythology in history, I think it would be fun. And I know a lot of the actors would love to hear from people and just put their intake in, especially our newest cast too. Yeah. They're so involved and so energetic, and they're just having so much fun.
The lead is the first one I reached out to today. So yeah, I've already sent her some stuff.
Yeah, she's Bridget. That's she's so great, and her and Victoria, who plays Margaret, and Destiny, who plays Rebecca. They formed a friendship, and they've been doing a lot of things on their own, trying to like create the world of Margot and Netflix and stuff like that. And they've just been going above and beyond, and so they're invested into the story as well so much. It's been so they were just like great people to work with because they didn't just come on set and do their job and then leave. So
you're telling me
being more involved.
You're telling me if I get one, it's like a 3-for-1. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. That's great. All right.
But yeah.
Well, no, that's something I wanted to talk to Mike about. I hadn't got to it yet. The NetSluice, their website is up and running.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah, and that's they brought me that idea. They showed me the foundation website, what they wanted to do on there, and I said that looks awesome. Yeah, go for it. And I think that helps. Build the world a little bit more, and the fans I think have been enjoying it.
Just remember this time when actors were willing to help you spread the word about the movie.
Right. Yeah, and that's when you know you have a good bunch. It's because that's not always going to be that way, and it hasn't always been that way. So, but there's cast members that I keep in touch with all the time. There's cast members that once a year I might get a message from them or something like that. But everyone's busy here, so but everyone I've worked with on all these films, they've all been wonderful.
From what I understand, I mean, your shooting schedules are like 14, 15 days, and so I'm sure those bonds over wartime like that, come on pretty quickly. I mean, I'm sure that you guys are either friends or enemies pretty quickly on a shooting schedule like that.
Actually, no enemies.
That's great.
There's not been any drama. It's been no enemies, and not even just with me or anybody, but like amongst any other people on set as well. everyone gets along, but just like Bridget, Destiny, and Victoria are friends. But I think the biggest friendship other than that has been Paul and Alex from the original. And Danny and Gore Abrams, they're very close. I think they're writing together. They're writing movies together. And so cool. They've remained close. And Adam Mack is a very he's a good friend of mine. I've known him for a while, so we talk all the time. But and Paul then as well as Tony.
Characters.
Yeah, Paul is great. He's just funny. He was just like, he gave such an amazing audition.
He's very natural. Very natural.
Yeah, he is very natural, and he fit that part so well. And I think one of the biggest reasons why people like the original so much, I think Paul plays it's the whole the gang of five together, but I think Paul plays the biggest reason on why that is.
And I did watch one interview where you talked about The Exorcist, and I'm assuming you're talking about the girl in the room with Paul, right? That you made look like Linda Blair.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, it's very true that I told the makeup artist, like, give me something like Linda Blair. But what I mean is like the satanic, demonic themes. Throughout that, like, is more so than specifying any specific ghost. It's more so just like the theme.
Yeah. Well, they're wonderful movies, and I appreciate you taking the time and talking to us. I hope that at some point we can talk to you again. Maybe we get down the road with a few episodes and then give you a holler if that's
just let me know. I'd be interested to see what's your idea, how it plays out, and so just keep in touch with me.
Okay.
I'm assuming you have my contact.
We do.
So just reach out, let me know, because I'd just be interested to see what you guys are doing.
That's wonderful. So. Well, thank you so much. We'll try to make you proud.
All right. Hey, guys, it's so nice to meet you. And thanks for the questions and thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Well, number one, that was a wonderful call.
Yeah, that was really cool. He was very nice.
He was very nice
so
guy.
nice.
Yeah.
He told
And
us
funny.
that he would keep in touch with us later because he wants to see what we do. And I don't know about y'all, but he basically blessed the project.
Yeah.
Well, he originally thought we were going to kind of
he thought we were going to make up our own
create
stuff.
more stuff within the world.
Yeah. That's not the intention at all. We just want to delve into that world and figure out. Maybe we can figure out some of the stuff. Maybe we find stuff that we missed. The biggest thing to me is the Tully story, right? Mm-hmm. I really want to know that backstory, but I also want to know what Easter eggs I've missed, right?
Yeah.
Because I bet there's a ton. After talking to him and listening to what he has to say about Easter eggs, especially with Lost, I need to go find all those things.
So many, even ones that aren't like discussed heavily by a lot
so
of people.
the first thing I talked to Casey about the other night was in 4, all the photos of the girls that are shown. Yeah. I bet there's something in the background of those photos, and we just didn't pay attention. Yeah.
And then to look, really put the brightness up.
See, now Caitlin's got an advantage because she's going to go watch it, and
she'll be looking in the photos.
She'll see all the shit. Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to pause it.
One of the letters on the table says, if you're reading this, it's too late.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. See, this is Mr. Pause and look.
I love stuff like that.
Enhance.
I love stuff like that.
I do too.
In any kind of thing, because you're enhancing everything in a deeper layer. It's not just like they just scribbled something, or like I love when stuff creates like fake newspapers. And like you were talking.
Well, I was talking about the fake ads. I love fake ads. Yeah. Or fake TV shows inside another show.
And one of the other questions he got on one of the other interviews was they talked about that, about how, he's got the newspapers creating all the different things like that to solidify what was going on outside.
One of the people asked him about the footage in 4 that is like the old footage that they stumble across. And they were like, the girl asked if it was really shot on 16 millimeter and did he, do all that? And he was like, no, man, we don't have that kind of time, in a shooting schedule, like you were saying, 14, 15 days to get all that stuff developed and all the things, so they shot it digitally and then enhanced it. So
to make it look that way.
Yeah. And I thought they did a pretty good job, honestly.
I mean, for someone, I honestly don't really necessarily love found footage films. It's not my favorite like subgenre, but they're really good, especially in the way that he builds his story throughout, especially the first part of the trilogy part. Like I love how like you said, you can watch it apart, but it's all wrapped in one in a little bow. And it's so nice.
No, it's very cool.
It's so good.
I love fake stuff in movies. I love when they service the fan by reminding you of things that happened 2 episodes ago or 3 movies ago or whatever. I love that part. just anything where they help you feel like, oh, I paid attention, so I get this reward.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Putting the intention behind each and every little thing that's in the film is
Absolutely.
what makes it so
Yeah.
cool.
Makes you appreciate
And-
it that much more.
Is
Yeah.
how a world is even built.
Yeah.
Josh gets the award though for watching movies that he hates all right in a row. Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, honestly.
They're really
Yeah,
not
that's good.
that bad of
Well,
film footage.
No,
I
they're
feel
great. Yeah.
like they're not as
Well,
shaky.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. They're not shaky found footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not,
Four
Four
in
does
the
have
woods.
some shaky.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell you when I found out I had motion sickness.
is,
Is
that's why I don't like them.
the second time.
Yeah.
The second time I got sick at Blair Witch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Huh.
I had no idea, and I
Yeah.
came out of there just about to vomit.
Oh.
And the second time,
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back and
yeah,
do it again.
Yeah, it
just
wasn't
to
the
see.
tongue; it was the
No,
shaky
it
footage.
was-
Yeah. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, number one, thank you for joining me here for this goofy thing that I invited you to.
No, this is
Yeah,
so
it's
fun.
But
That's fun.
I think we got something cool out of it.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, for a little while there was like my heart was kind of racing. I
Really?
was like, oh, this is cool. I'm talking to someone who
It is
like,
cool.
really
I
Yeah.
know.
loves movies
My
that I
heart
like.
is still racing.
Yeah.
I was like, this
I
is so cool.
was so nervous.
it's very
I,
nice.
me too.
He's a very nice guy, and,
So
and
nice.
again, I want to thank him for taking his time, and
Yeah.
the PR people that did the the in between and all that stuff. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
not thinking I'm a super kook when I send something that says, "Hey, I want to make a podcast about your world." You know, or whatever. So,
Shout out, yeah.
yeah,
That they even put you through.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice, very nice.
It was.
All right, well, whether you guys like it or not, you're executive producers on this now,
Okay.
and this
Nice.
is our fact checker, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take them to my Pepe Silva board.
That's- Did y'all ever watch Always Sunny?
Oh, is that the
Yeah,
red string?
yeah, it's the big
Yeah.
board with the strings. Yeah, the Pepe Silva board. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing we were discussing. It's like, how do you make something like this and not have one of those
Oh,
boards
yeah.
on your wall?
Yeah.
Because it's got or
But
a
the-
big show Bible or something.
You got to have
Red.
something
The
that's
red
connecting
everywhere.
everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my brain couldn't
No.
compartmentalize
No.
everything. It would be like,
Well, he and I have tried to build a little world like that, and we did some.
Mhm.
But again, like you say, it after a while, you better have it somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Because those people are all of a sudden doing things that they wouldn't do when you wrote them the first time.
Yes.
yeah.
Definitely.
That's why Tolkien has this whole like encyclopedia. It's not called
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
you know what
No, I
I
know
mean.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Silmarillion.
Silmarillion, yeah, and all that.
Silmarillion.
Yeah, to have
Good job.
everything, you know,
I love me some Tolkien.
it's great. It's great stuff. But kudos to Stephen, because he was saying like how with the Lost stuff, like how he had to Google stuff like for episodes.
Yeah.
I found myself Googling stuff for these movies
You got
because
it.
I'm like, oh wait, what does that mean?
You got it.
So he did such a good job.
Yeah.
That was his goal.
Once he said that, I was like, oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
totally freaking get that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I loved Lost. I thought it was great, and even after everybody said, "Ooh, here's how it's going to end," I didn't care because it was so well done,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it ended in time. It didn't try to squeeze another 3 seasons out or anything. So,
Yeah.
Gotta love when a show.
I
does that.
watched it after the fact, so I kind of had the privilege of also binging it all at once,
Oh,
as opposed to
yeah.
how if you were watching it. I'm sure that was probably frustrating, waiting for a whole another season to come out,
Dude,
not
yeah.
knowing.
Y'all don't
Well,
even
that's what we
know.
were-
That's the way TV used to be,
Yeah.
and it was super frustrating. You know what? Okay, so this has nothing to do with this, but Breaking Bad when it was on,
Uh-huh.
and they would do those mid-season breaks.
Oh yeah, like winter, fall,
come
things.
on.
Yeah,
Shut up. Show me the last 8 or whatever, you know?
Anime does that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Your
One of my-
volleyball animes?
Well, yeah, that's
Haiku.
been on break for about 5 years now.
Really?
5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
It's been a long
I
time.
think the
Waiting.
last I heard you talk about that one was over at Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
or 2
they're coming out with
locations
the
ago.
movie in February.
Oh, well, there you
We're
go.
finally getting one.
Did you watch the One Piece movie?
No, because I don't have Netflix anymore after
okay.
the password sharing.
That's true.
After the crackdown.
After the big crackdown. That's right.
And now I won't buy it just to stick
Yeah.
it to them.
I don't blame you. Yeah. Your $12.99 is what's making the difference.
It is.
Yeah.
yeah.
The only things I pay for are Shudder and Crunchyroll,
Uh-huh.
and that's about it.
That's all
Because
I
that's
need.
really
That's all I
me.
need.
Anime
Crunchyroll
and
Shudder.
horror movies.
Yeah.
That's all I watch anyways. So
Wow. All right.
oh,
well,
and a Korean drama
Kor-
platform.
Korean drama.
Yeah,
What is that?
K-drama. It's Viki.
That's the show?
The
The
platform's
app?
called Viki.
Like
Oh,
the
it's called
streaming service?
Viki.
Rakuten.
Mm.
Vicky sounds like a AI
It does,
model
doesn't it?
of some
Yeah.
sort. Just ask Vicky.
Just ask
Yeah.
Vicky.
Vicky, how do I get across town to the nearest haircut shop?
Yeah.
Is that what they're calling them? These things? Haircut shop?
Haircut shops.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, again, thank you all for joining me here for this seance. And I really appreciate it. And I guess we'll go make a show now.
Yeah.
We don't have a name or anything.
No.
That's right.
Let's just
If
go
you've
make it.
got suggestions for names,
Do you?
drop them. No, I don't.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to hear
Whoever's-
this way later.
House
After the
hell.
fact.
House.
Maybe
CCL.
maybe episode 1 is just a seance.
That's right. It could just be a
Just-
seance. Yeah. I think we just call it Tully's World.
Tully's
that's
World.
kinda
Kind of like Bobby's World.
Elmo's World.
That's right. It's Tully's
Da-da.
World.
And we can use the little with
Tully's
permission. Maybe use the little
World.
piano as a jingle.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just did the. What was that one?
Do,
Ding, ding, ding.
do,
Oh, that's Halloween.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, Stephen. That's Halloween. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you when we make a show.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds great.
Until next
then.
time.
Bye.
Bye.
By who?
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, base.
Bye,
There it is.
Baes.
There it is. You can find Abaddon Eyes exploring the Hell House LLC universe anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com.
I found the gateway, and it's glorious. Play us a song. Diana?
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.